What is up, FloTrack? This is Johnny Pace here in Austin, Texas. Honored to be joined by Hugh Brasher of the London Marathon.
Hi, Johnny. Great to be here.
Welcome to Austin.
Yep, it's first time here. Just landed, but first place to come is FloTrack. What a great place to come.
Well,
and really looking forward to being here for the Austin Marathon weekend.
Welcome to Austin. I hope there's a lot to love about this city, so I'm excited. But thank you for stopping by. What are you just here for fun? Just get a feel of the race, or what specifically about Austin?
Well, look, I've heard so much about the city. Everyone says it's just the most amazing city. It's just got the most amazing vibe, just a little bit different. So I want to come here for the weekend, see what the race is all about. And so, just, love going to races as part of my job, is to go and see what other people are doing.
Sure.
So here I am, and I can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah, we got to make sure you get some barbecue, some live music.
That is exactly what I've been told, and you're going to tell me the best place to go here in Austin. Yeah.
Well, so you have your own race though coming up very soon around the corner, the next 2 months, the London Marathon. For folks who've never heard about the London Marathon, never been to it or run it, what's the high level? Tell me, what is the London Marathon to you?
So, firstly, it's the world's most popular marathon. So to put it in context, we're more popular than the rest of the world marathon majors put together. More than 1.1 million people apply to enter the 2026 event. Absolutely. And
people really want to run this thing.
People really want to run it. It was co-founded by my father back in 1981 and John Disley. Yeah. And they went to New York in 1979, and they were inspired by what New York did. Yeah. The 5 boroughs. This is coming up to their 50th race of going through the 5 boroughs. Yeah. So you go through a history of London. You'll be joined by around about 60,000 people. So potentially the biggest marathon in the world. It's not just about size; it's about fun and engagement. In Britain, I mean, you'll get some of the greatest athletes in the world taking part, and huge charity fundraising is part of London Marathon. Last year, over $110 million was raised just last year. Wow. And we're at about $1.7 billion since the first year in 1981.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that. It's just, it has become so much larger than probably anybody could have dreamed. It's how have you were, from what I understand, you were there for the very first one as well.
That certainly ages me. I was there for the very first one in 1981. I sold the train tickets. I was 16, and my dad asked me to work. It was March, and the Easter holidays were happening. Yeah. And so I sold 6,300 train tickets at the bottom of the Strand Palace Hotel. Now you get free travel as part of your entry. Then you had to pay for it, and it was less than £1. It was 50 pence. Sure. So half a dollar, basically, 50 cents in American terminology. So, I've sort of worked at every single one since then, bar one. And it's just such a privilege to be in charge of an event that does so much good, brings people together, brings communities together. That's what marathon running is doing around the world at the moment. And a younger demographic are really coming into it and loving that feeling. And it's just great to be part of an industry that is in such a positive place.
When you go to a marathon weekend, I really feel like everybody should just go and to experience it, whether or not they're racing. It is, like you said, it is bringing communities together. It's plain fun, honestly.
Absolutely. And we've got the day before the London Marathon, we'll have 18,000 kids running a timed event the day before. There you go. And each child will be being paid $13 to do the event.
Oh, professional athletes.
And that money will go to their school for either computer equipment or sports equipment. And those kids are running that final mile of the TCS London Marathon. They're hopefully the potential customer of the future, but it's really just getting inspired to get active, get moving, because we all know it's good for our physical health and mental health.
Amazing. Well, so, FloTrack, we're an American company. We obviously, a lot of runners in our community are running the American majors, Boston, Chicago, New York. What would you say sets London apart or makes it different from the American majors?
I think it's probably, I mean, every single one of the majors is different and is unique. And actually, that's the fantastic thing about them. Sydney's just joined. Hopefully, Cape Town will join in the future.
Yeah.
The African
Austin, perhaps.
But it's genuinely in London. It is the communities coming together. It is this charity side of it. In Britain, we love dressing up in fancy dress. That's a slightly weird thing that you might get passed by a rhino, a guy in a full-on rhino suit, or a gorilla, a nurse. I mean, I think there are about 40 world records broken in fancy dress costumes every year. But you'll also get the greatest athletes in the world taking part. Yeah. And we have got some amazing athletes taking part.
To put it mildly.
Absolutely. I mean, Jacob Kiplimo against Sebastian Soye. The women's event is just insane. The top 3 ranked female marathon runners in the world, and add Sifan Hassan to that. It's just what on earth you can do to predict what's going to go on. I have no idea. So it's going to be an amazing day.
What does it take to bring that level of competition on the elite side to a race like London?
I think it takes money. It takes attention to detail. We really know that you need to have the right concoction of great athletes, great local runners, great British runners. We've got an amazing field, Eilish McColgan. We've got Emile Caresse, who came 4th in Paris in the Olympics in Paris. Patrick Diva, who was 4th in New York this year. We've got some great British athletes coming through. So you want a flavour of that. And then all these human interest stories, which is what gets the media interested. So you have that range of different stories for different people. It's fantastic the FloTrack are with us. And just as I say, those elite athletes, what is going to be happening on that day? Obviously, the wind can play a part, the weather conditions can play a part, but I know they are going to be racing. Sebastian Soye has already said he's going to take a course record. Potentially, we could have 2 world records on the day. I have no idea, but we certainly have the athletes of that caliber.
Of course. And speaking of that, world records. If you're setting a world record at this point, you might be in the neighborhood of breaking the 2-hour barrier. Perhaps. Do you think is that something that could ever happen at London, and what would that mean if so?
100% it can happen.
Yeah.
We operationally put on Eliud Kipchoge, the Ineos 159. Right. So, and that was a great program to be involved in. It was 6 teams coming together, one athlete, and Eliud is the most incredible athlete. I think Sebastian, on the right day, what could Jacob do? The times he was running in Chicago back in the fall were incredible. So I absolutely believe that it will be done. Could it be in London? Without a doubt. London, Berlin, Valencia, Chicago, any of those races, it really could, without a doubt, could happen.
I think it's just a matter of time at this point.
Yes, and Eliud proved it was possible. And my father was the pacemaker to Sir Roger Bannister in the first sub-4-minute mile. No, he was. He was training with Roger, and it took 9 years. People were trying in America, in Australia, in Sweden. They were trying to break that 4-minute barrier, and it was said in the 1950s to be physiologically impossible. Right. Roger did it. 3 days later, it got broken again. So it just, no human is limited, is what Eliud was talking about. He showed it is possible to do it. Yes, there were 41 pacemakers. Yes, they were being rotated. Yes, he was being handed a bottle. But the technology in shoes has come on. You need the right athletes together. You need them feeling brilliant. And you need the right temperature conditions. Right. And without a doubt, it can happen.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait. How about on the women's side? I mean, not to forget about them. Like, what do you see is possible with women's marathoning?
Look, I think, firstly, I think that Paula's record set in London in 2003, and it had stood until 2019, when Bridget Kosgei ran 2:14 in Chicago. And now what has happened is incredible. Honestly, in terms of the existing women's world record, I don't believe it. I think that in terms of the AIU and what they've been quite clear about is she was cheating. They believe she was cheating previously, but at the moment that can't be proved. So that's my personal opinion. Right. But I think what we need to do is, so Tigges to Sifa 2:11 is, in my opinion, what I think would be the current record.
Yeah.
And again, you've got an amazing bunch of great women athletes who are just spurring each other on. Again, you put them in the right place. London is a women's only race, so that we're not racing with the women, and not racing with the men. So the women's record there is 2:15 and late 2:15s.
Sure.
I absolutely believe that was set last year and it was hot. I absolutely believe that this year it potentially would get smashed. I think that overall, I mean, Catherine De Bruyne in the wheelchair, she was only 1.5 seconds off the world record in London last year.
Oh, wow.
And for wheelchairs, London's not the course to set the record on. So, look, the crowd is amazing. For anyone sort of watching this, just enter the event, coming into the ballot. It might be hard to get in, but you never know. And coming to London and having that amazing feeling, that support, it's a great course. And finishing in front of Buckingham Palace on the Mall is a pretty special occasion.
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple questions for logistically, and as what does it take to shut down the city of London for a day, like operationally, and as a leader, like what does that encompass?
Look, it takes partnership of the Mayor of London, Transport for London, so they operate the buses, the tubes. It takes the Royal Parks, because where we finish is Buckingham Palace. It takes boroughs working together. It takes the police and the emergency services. These events are so huge that unless you have these partnerships, then the event is not going to happen. And that's what every one of the majors, Abbott World Marathon majors has, is amazing partnerships with the cities to make these events happen.
After all these years, morning of race day, how do you feel in your head? What are you thinking about?
I feel very calm.
Really?
Because it should be the most relaxed day of my life. I haven't got any meetings planned.
Right. Thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be some interviews. But the team, there's 160 people working at London Marathon. We work across a whole load of events across the year. And the team is quite incredible. There'll be 5,000 volunteers. There'll be so many different contractors coming in and doing a job that they've been doing very often, many of them for years and years. Right. So they know what they need to do. My job is really to be as clear as possible that should anything happen, I then am available to be able to make some decisions. But we really hope that is not the situation. It's a long day. I'll start at probably about 6 in.the morning and finish around about midnight. It's a long day, but it's an incredibly satisfying day.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you get some great elite performances, and then just seeing those masses achieving something that they might have taken years to be able to get in the marathon, years, and then all the training that they've put into it, and that feeling when you cross that line is incredible.
It's often, I like the thought of like, race day is the celebration. All the hard work is the hard part, and then race day is when you enjoy the fruits of that labor and really celebrate it.
Absolutely. And what is incredible about running in a marathon in a city centre is you are going to feel like the gods of the sport. You are going to have the crowd around you. And in Britain, in the London Marathon, 75% of the runners are running for charity. They'll probably have a charity vest on, they'll have their name on, and you will be willed on this sea of positivity from the first step in Greenwich to the last step on the Mall. And it's an experience that we very few of us will ever get in life, where people are total strangers are willing you to be successful, to have a great time with a smile on your face. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And do you have a vision or a dream for 10, 15 years from now, what you want the race to become?
I certainly have a plan for the next 5 years, and I'm planning to retire in 7 years.
There you go.
So, and look, I'm a custodian of an incredible brand. And my job is to try and leave the brand in a better place than it was, with more people engaged, more people wanting to do the marathon, whether they're doing it in here in Austin, whether they're doing it in Chicago, whether they're doing it in Frankfurt, wherever they might be doing it around the world. we can show that we are better together than we are apart. And that's what marathon running, it brings the globe, it brings people from around the world together. Here I am in Austin, I know I'm going to be having a great time.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's an amazing thing, and that's what we need to create more of.
Hey, absolutely. And I think on that note, that's a good parting thought. I did want to circle back to something that you were talking about on our tour before we close out, which I found super interesting regarding the London Diamond League. Can you talk just briefly about that partnership?
Yeah, so London Marathon Events, we've got a 3-way partnership now with Great Run and UK Athletics. And Great Run, second biggest mass participation organizer in the UK.
Yes.
And we have now formed this partnership to organize the London Diamond League. It's the biggest one-day athletics meet in the world. 60,000 people sell out at the Olympic Stadium to watch some of the greatest athletes in the world. We've already announced Mondo Duplantis, pole vaulting. We've got some other incredible athletes watching. It will be live on FloTrack in 2026. And I know the athletes that we haven't yet announced, and it's going to be another special occasion. But yeah, we've got this unique partnership where a governing body is working with entrepreneurial organizers. And, you know, what we're really trying to do is increase the size of a pie, increase the size of a pizza. I always say this thing about, you know, you can have a 7-inch pizza and argue about how big a slice that you want.
Right.
Heck, get together, make a 12-inch pizza, make it bigger, everyone can gorge on it. And that's what we should be doing more of. That togetherness, whether you're doing it in business, whether you're doing it with your friends, whether you're doing it having fun. You get together, you create more fun, you create something that's bigger, you create something that's better, and more people can have fun and be part of that.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to see it this summer. And Hugh, I hope you have a wonderful time this weekend. Really appreciate you making this your first stop. But enjoy Austin, and we'll see you in London in a couple months.
Well, look, thanks for hospitality. It's been a great start of the journey here in Austin. I know I'm going to have a great time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers.